Smile at the camera. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We're excited that you're here with us for our Monday Night Live, Write With Me, or Write With Us in this case. And just excited that you're here. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about subplots before we take our first writing sprint. And then we'll come back and chat a little bit and then do another writing sprint. So that's our format. We chat for a few minutes, do a writing sprint, come back, talk for a couple minutes, and then do another writing sprint. And the goal is to help us move our projects forward. So our question tonight for you as we get started is, what project are you working on? Are you in the initial writing stage? Are you in the editing stage? Where are you at in your process? And I guess maybe more pointed is, how's your subplots?
Yes, because this week's video was about subplots, but I want to add to the video. So if you're interested or curious about learning more about subplots, check out the video from Friday. And I want to add a couple things to that video. And I have a couple of questions for you. So when you are evaluating your subplots, because a story should have, on average, it has between 2 and 3 subplots per story.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to make sure you don't have too many subplots.
So how many would be too many? 4 or 5?
That depends on the story. But yeah, if you go over 3 subplots, then you really want to make sure you want to use these questions that I'm going to give you to evaluate whether or not you should keep that subplot in your story.
Well, I may have too many subplots. I don't want to rewrite my whole book here.
Well, yes, but there, yeah, you just want to make sure that your subplot fits. And I got a question for you to consider. Are you ready for the first question?
What's the first question? Are you guys ready? Because I don't know what question she's about to ask. This could be interesting.
This is the first question. How important is the subplot to your main storyline? And you got to ask that of all your subplots. How important is it? And if it's super important, then obviously you want to keep it. If it's not very important, then you might want to consider maybe having a little less of that subplot.
Okay, so first thing I have to do is identify the various subplots that I have in my book.
Yes.
And then I have to evaluate each one of them based on how important they are for this particular story.
Yes. Okay. I mean, it really, if you're thinking about what and you're evaluating your story, then yes.
Okay. That's interesting. So I know one of my main subplots is vital to the story. I have a second subplot that kind of bounces in and out, and it's maybe a little less. And then I have a third that's not super important, but it does set up for the next book. So
so then it's important.
So then it's important, not necessarily to this one, but in the series, it's going to become more important. It's kind of some foreshadowing.
Well, and that's often what subplots are used for foreshadowing.
Okay, good. So how about you guys? How many subplots do you have in your current writing project? And have you got too many? I'm getting nervous now. I got to really think, did I have any more subplots going on there?
We're going to run out of time. I got one more question.
All right. What's your next question?
The next question to ask is, does this subplot add value to the reader experience and the main storyline? Does it add value?
Well, of course.
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes the subplot doesn't add value, and you really got to look at that. Does it add value to the main storyline and to the reader experience?
Well, so how do you determine that?
Well, watch the video. I mean, really, you just have to, if you're looking at a subplot and asking that question, I think it goes along with the first question. How important is it?
Right.
And what does it add to the story?
So, I mean, sometimes it simply adds some conflict to the story. Sometimes it breaks up the main storyline, right?
Yeah.
So there's times when it may not directly impact your character as much as it's just adding some additional conflict or changing things up just a little bit.
Well, one of the number one jobs of subplots is to increase the tension and conflict within your story.
So this is a good question. But I must have fuzzy glasses on tonight.
I'm not sure about terms. Where do I draw the line between one of various plot lines? There's a 4 point of view and a subplot. Well, okay, so a subplot, this is more of a question than I can answer in the next minute.
No, come on, you got 30 seconds.
A subplot.
Be profound. Be succinct and profound.
You have your main storyline, which has your main characters in it, right? So here's your main characters, your main storyline, and then your subplots. They are not they're not the main storyline.
Right. It's kind of like a storyline of a storyline.
Yes, but it's like think of it like a tapestry, and your main storyline and your subplots weave in and out.
Right.
Through the main storyline. And so let's see, where do you draw the line between one of various plot lines? Okay, so you would want, in that case, with 4 point of views, I had to get my head around the question. With 4 point of views, you want to make sure that all 4 of those point of views are interconnected within your main storyline. How are they connected? I would assume that they're all connected within the main storyline.
Right.
And in that case, that would be the main storyline. A subplot would be something that's secondary to the main storyline.
But even in a subplot, you can have different point of views.
Yeah.
So whenever you're writing, like one chapter should be one point of view. If you switch within the chapter, you have to make that very clear, right?
Yeah.
We went round and round about this because I was all over the place in my last editing project. So
switching point of views, that's a big topic, and we got to get to writing.
Okay, we'll come back and we'll want a more profound answer as we go forward.
Okay,
but right now we got to get to our writing sprint. Are you ready? I love it. You stumped her. That's awesome.
No, you didn't stump me. It's just that to answer fully the question, it's going to take more time than we have.
Okay, good. Well, we got a writing sprint and then we'll come back.
Okay.
All right. You guys ready for 20 minutes writing? Let's see how much we can get done on our project, no matter where you're at. I know Angie's still editing.
Yeah.
I'm still tightening up a couple little things. So wherever you're at in your writing project, even if you're just outlining, I may do that in the second writing sprint, but let's see what we can get done in 20 minutes.
Oh.
Ready, set, go. Here we go.
Go.
It's going.
There.
It's going. All right, we're halfway done with our first writing sprint. 2-minute warning.
He's still writing. How did your writing sprints go? How'd it go?
Well, I was doing really good till the buzzer interrupted me.
I love that for you.
Do you?
I do.
All right. How was you guys' writing sprints? Give us a shout out there in the comments. I'd love to know how you're doing. Joshua isn't here tonight. He always gives us a report about he got X amount of words done, and that's awesome. So, Josh, if you come back and watch this later, we miss you, man. And how did you do, Ange?
I did good. Well, I did good.
She did good.
I made it through 2 pages of edits.
But
I added some stuff that really needed to be in it, so that's good. Yeah, it was
all
good.
right. That's good.
But
good.
yes, I mean, really, if you get on a roll and the timer goes off,
it's hard.
It's hard, but
I had to finish my thought, right?
Well, that's one of the things that's great about doing writing sprints. If you do a writing sprint without, okay, we're going to stop now. If you do writing sprints on your own, then you can really get in the zone without the pressure of feeling like you got to sit here for an hour. But if the timer goes off and you're like, yeah, I'm on a roll, then you can keep writing.
Yeah, you can just keep going.
The writing sprints are very powerful.
They are. Okay, so we have limited time. Did you want to come back and add anything to your previous answer? Or did you just want to say, watch the video?
Well, watch the video, but I mean, if your main storyline has 4 points of view, I've got the story that is going to come out on December has 2 points of view. And they basically have this, it's all interwoven in the same main storyline. So if you have 4 points of view, just make sure that they all connect with your main storyline.
Yeah, I think actually I have probably 5 or 6 different points of view in my story. My sci-fi book that I'm just finishing up is very complex. Yes, I didn't realize how complex it was going to be. But I do have different points of view with my characters, and then also in the subplot, those characters switch points of view a couple of times. And so when you really stop and think about it, you can have a lot of different points of view and a lot of different points of view, even in your subplot. But I think the key is to make sure that it's all adding to the overall story. And so in mine, it's very complex, but it all kind of does funnel towards the main story, and they intersect periodically.
Yes. One of the things that they're saying is that they originally had 20 points of view. That's a lot of points of view.
Woohoo! That's right up my alley.
That's a lot to juggle.
It is. It is, because when you're changing a point of view, you're in a different character's head. You're in a different character's voice, and so it does make it a little bit complicated. I know with mine, I have enough that I have to stop and think about, this character would say it this way.
Yeah.
And make sure that I get that correct. So 20 is a lot, but
and I think
that's awesome.
I think it's wise to reduce it to 4 because that's more manageable.
Yeah. Okay, so did you have more questions for us?
I do.
You want to talk more about subplots? Let's move on, because we're running out of time.
We are running out of time.
I see that timer behind me, and I'm all nervous now. We're going to run out of time.
Okay, so my third question is your subplot necessary?
Yes.
So you can actually look at your subplot, and if you pull the subplot out, is the story still okay? And if it is, then it's an unnecessary subplot, and you really don't want an unnecessary subplot in your story. It's just a distraction.
I guess it can be distracting. I would say definitely my main subplot is vital to the story. If that's not there, then there's just a lot of gaps that don't make sense.
Yeah.
So my subplot does fill in a lot of things, and probably the other two do as well. Yeah, so I would say yes.
Well,
but I can see how it could be distracting.
It can be distracting if it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my fourth question is, okay, I've already said this, but you got your main storyline. Your subplot has to intersect with the main storyline. If it does not intersect with your main storyline and have at least one of your main characters having some intersection there, then you need to really evaluate, how can I intersect it? Because if it's not intersecting with your main
we got it
storyline. Yeah, there. Yeah. So that's my fourth question. But we got another for different voices, and also some had no individual agenda besides being part of a team. My main advice about that would be, if you've got a lot of people on your team, because there's a lot of characters in both of the books that current projects we're working on. And if it's a lot of people and it's a team, then choose one person on the team and write the book from their perspective.
Yes.
Or two. You don't need to give everything from everybody's point of view.
No, you don't. But like in my sci-fi book I'm writing on right now, there is a team, and I use one person's perspective when they're in a team, but then sometimes that team splits and I have to use a different person's perspective.
Yeah.
Or limit the what's going on. So I switch sometimes to the other person's perspective because it's necessary.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably the other key it's like the subplot thing. Is it necessary to do that? Are you going to miss something vitally important if you don't show it from that other character's perspective?
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to do that just because it adds a little bit of mystery. If this character keeps talking, or you keep showing them what from that perspective, you're going to give it away, right? So you got to switch and add a little mystery and suspense in there. So sometimes I've done that too.
Yeah.
It's good. So those are great questions, great comments. We appreciate you adding in the comments there.
Yes.
It's challenging when you get into the story and realize I've got so many moving parts, and then you got to stop and think about perspectives and subplots and, all these different moving parts, writing can be very complicated.
Yeah.
So speaking of complicated, NaNoWriMo is coming up.
NaNoWriMo's coming up.
And so we're doing a whole series on NaNoWriMo. This is our first time we're actually going to take on 100% NaNoWriMo. We've done variations of it in the past. We're going to go for it this time.
It's our first time.
She's going to try to write an entire book. I'm going to try to write an entire book. Was it 50,000 words at least?
Yeah.
So we're going to
Not a
go
problem.
for it. That starts in November. If you're not familiar with NaNoWriMo, it's a challenge to write 50,000 words in November, fiction. And so as we get ready for that, there is what they call Preptober. So in October, we're going to do a series of videos. Every Friday, we'll release a new video giving instructions on what we're going to do and what may help you to prepare that week building up to NaNoWriMo. So when we get to November, if you're an outliner, you've got your outline ready. If you're a pantser, you've picked your story and kind of got maybe some rough thoughts there, but we're going to build up to our writing in November. So join us for that, because that's going to be really cool. And then on the Monday nights, we're going to also add to that and work to it. And she wants me to stop talking now.
Well, I was gonna say that. So we're gonna have the video released on Friday covering a certain aspect of getting prepped for NaNoWriMo, and then Monday night we're gonna work on that. Whatever the topic was Friday, we're gonna work on that during the Write With Me and talk about how that's going on our project, getting ready.
Yeah, so when we start working on, what do we do to get ready? If we get stuck on something, then Monday nights on our live is going to be a great time to talk about that, kind of process it together. We can give you some thoughts, you can give us some thoughts, and together we can get ready to do this NaNoWriMo. And I think it's going to benefit us all if we write in community, encourage each other to take this on and put out some words in November.
Yes.
All right.
It's time to write.
It's time to write already.
Yes.
So now I got to get back into where I was at.
Oh, yeah, that happens.
All right. So we're going to do another 20-minute writing sprint. We will be back in 20 minutes and we'll chat for a minute and read for your comments, answer any questions you have, and then we'll call it a night. So we got 20 plus minutes to go. Let's go. Hey, Josh, great to see you. I wish you could stay longer, but I'm glad that you dropped by for a visit. I was just looking for your word count. I miss seeing how much you get done. So thanks for joining. Just wanted to say hi. I saw your comment there. Okay, we got 5 minutes left in our writing sprint. Greetings, glad you joined us. We have 5 minutes and then we're going to come back and chat for a minute. So hang in there with us. All right, there we go. I wrapped it up. Did you hit save? Got to hit save on your project. So these are great exercises. We do these writing sprints and just try to really focus in and get some words on paper, or in Angie's case, do some editing to move our projects forward. And glad you joined us tonight. So we did talk a little bit about
subplots
and point of view.
Yeah, point of view.
Yeah, a little bit about point of view. And then we did mention that we're going to jump into NaNoWriMo topics and Preptober topics. So if you're looking at NaNoWriMo and thinking about NaNoWriMo and doing that, please join us. Or even if you're not, we're still going to be talking about a lot of practical things to help you move your project forward. So this is going to be a great exercise because basically we're starting from scratch, coming up with an idea, and going clear through the process. So it'll kind of be like almost a writing vlog for us in October, November, right?
Yes, that's really the plan. And it's really, I mean, it's our first time doing it. And so for many of you, it might be your first time doing this, but it's an exciting thing to tackle. And we will share our journey with this with all of you.
So if you're writing with us tonight, how many words did you get? Did you get some editing done wherever you're at in the process? I'd love to hear where you're at and how much you got done. I'm working on a couple of different projects. I'm finishing up my sci-fi thing, and then I just got a creative idea. You know, that happens.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
So we do a newsletter, and I put down creative tips. That's one of the little sections there in our newsletter is creative tips. And so I pulled that up and I wrote the next creative tip.
Oh, nice.
For the newsletter coming up next month.
So if you are not getting our newsletter, make sure and get subscribed so that you can find out what this creative tip is.
Yeah, well, there's some confessions in there about my lack of creativity. And then a tip of how to build that creativity, because that's what I did. I had to really stretch the creativity. But I can't say anymore or I'll give away the whole tip because, you know, I'm Mr. Talkative tonight. Too much coffee, I suppose.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. If I drink too much coffee, then I start talking too much too. So.
Well, maybe you should have more because you're kind of quiet tonight.
Well.
All right. We're going to wrap up for tonight. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, glad you were here. And, you know, if you have questions about point of view or subplots or anything like that, reach out to us. We'd love to interact. Email back and forth with you, share comments. But, yeah, we'll leave it at that for tonight. So thanks for joining. Hope you have a great Monday evening.
We will catch you next time. And he's going to turn it off, and we're waiting for him to turn it off.
Hey. You watch it, or I'll just leave it live, and then they can see all the goofy stuff you do when you think it's turned off. You guys,
bye, everyone.
You guys want the hot mic scenario here? The hot camera here?
Uh-huh.
All right, they're waiting.